YouTube. I am Shaggy. I am Philalitheia. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, whenever you are. I hope this finds you well. I am not wearing my glasses yet because I decided that I don't feel like getting out of the tent yet today. And this isn't going to work. The camera is not working the way I want it to. I want to just be able to put my phone down. And there you go. My face is just going to be in the bottom of the screen because I haven't got out of the tent yet. And yeah, I don't understand why that won't work the way I want it to. Anyway, thanks for sticking through the first minute of this with me. I didn't mean to start this when I did because I didn't have my camera set up yet. I'm right with myself now. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is that I'm in a weird place analytically. I'm sorry about that. I'm putting it down. I'm at a weird place with my analytics, and I don't really know what my core audience wants from me, because until today, my 28-day analytics were telling me that I was actually getting more repeat customers, repeat viewers. I need my phone right here, and I can't hold it at this angle. I was getting more return viewers than subscribers, and it was approaching 200. I was almost at 200. It's cold today, is why I'm still in the sleeping bag. But anyway, I was almost at 200 return viewers in the 28-day period, which is huge because return viewers are your bread and butter, right? God damn, this is so annoying. See, this is why I need Patreon subscribers, is because I should already have shit like, and I'm getting angry, and it's not about you. I respond to minor frustration with anger, because anger is how I learn to just push through the unbearable. You get mad at it. Oh no. Fuck. My hat got wet. Okay. Fuck. It's cold and wet, and it's been raining for days on end, and the inside of my tent, the only thing that's not wet is my actual sleeping bag, except for the feet and the head. And there's just nothing I can do about it. Hey there, Knight. I see you, Night Edits. Hey, buddy. I'm sorry. Hi, Texas. I'm okay. I live in a tent. Hi, Knights. Hi. I'm sorry. Wow, there are 5 of you here. Okay, I'm very sorry. I looked away from my phone for a moment to describe the inside of my very wet tent, and I missed you. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm fine. I live in Ohio. I live in South Central Ohio. Sorry about that. Let me put my glasses on so I can see you. I didn't expect anybody to be here. I was just talking myself through not getting really pissed off and then rage quitting this. I'm in Zanesville. Thank you for being here. That's very cool. Wasted? No, not really. My eyes are just like this. I just look like this. My name is Vincent. I go by Shaggy Philalitheia. But you can call me Vincent. Don't call me Vince. You're also homeless? How are you handling it? Who's the best football player? Are we talking NFL or soccer? I don't know soccer well, but I know people really like Messi. This was a surprise. Thanks for being here with me this morning, guys. Cristiano Ronaldo is better. I don't know soccer very well. I um I watched a little bit of EPL last year. My ex-girlfriend was a Newcastle fan. Cristiano's not better. So it's close between Messi and Ronaldo. Are they like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in their primes? I wouldn't mind watching you guys actually argue that out. I don't know soccer well at all, but I find it very interesting that people care so much. Okay, XX Cup is telling me that Messi's like 4'1", Ronaldo is a tall figure, handsome and very rich. Okay, Ronaldo's one more. He's one more at the same level of competition. Believing in Jesus, Zax, is a difficult question for me to answer. Yes, I believe in Jesus's method. I flirt with the idea that Jesus may have been a woman or may have been a fictional character. But his message and the Gospels, I believe in that approach to life, yes. Yandel Cook, thanks for being here, man. I don't even need the, oh, I'll use the $500, believe me, but I don't even need that to shout you out. Thanks for being here, man. That's really cool of you. All of you, if I haven't said your names yet, that's very cool of you for being here. Yandel Cook, thank you for being here, man. It's super awesome. What does WC mean, Knights? Is that the league? Yeah, I flirt with Jesus. He's a cool bro. You know, he's I'm doing my best, Knights. Thanks for noticing me. That was a funny joke, XX Cup. That made me laugh. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? That I flirt with the idea that Jesus may have been things. This is cool. Thanks for being here, guys. You didn't tell me though, are Messi and here we go. Oh, XX, you're gonna go live too? That's cool. Hey, thanks for the sub, Yandel. And if you wanted to hit my tip jar for something that I said in one of my long forms or any of my shorts, that would be really cool. But you don't have to pay me to say hi to you, man. Is that Joselis Mendoza? Is that J and H? Hello, Joselis. It's nice to make your acquaintance. It's nice to be seen by you. Can we get a tour of my tent? My tent looks dirty and gross because I use the trash that I accumulate for insulation. But yeah, it's just a backpacking tent, so I'm going to turn you around. And like I said, I use my trash for insulation. It's been raining and I survived the winter in this, so that's kept it wet. And I cycle that out when it gets wet and gross. This is the sweater that I wear and my spare backpack. And then I keep it cozy to keep it warm in here. And then this is just, I have a blanket and my spare backpack and my coat back behind me. Oh, you're 4 subs away. Hey, if you guys could help XX Cup at any point during the day getting him subs, that'd be really cool. I think that would be really cool of you to do. He wants to go live and it takes 50 subs to go live. Hey man, I'm doing my best. Thanks for saying that. Even if you meant it for XX Cup, Knights. No hablo tanto inglés. So I was close. Is that Joselis? I don't know what tanto means off the top of my head. You're saying that you don't speak. You're telling me that you don't speak much English or you don't speak it fast. ¿Es correcto? Thanks for saying that, Knights. Knight X. I'm saying that, Knights. Hey, that's really cool, you guys. Thanks for helping my guy out. It's really hard to get started at this. It can be very isolating. That's actually what I got on here to talk about today, is that I felt like I was driving myself insane with data that wasn't really telling me anything. And thank you guys for showing up and being here and supporting one another. That's really cool. Yeah. Thanks for showing up, XX Cup. Thanks for sticking around, and thanks for asking for help, man. It's not easy to ask for help. It feels like it makes you less than. That was really cool of you. I love the NFL. I love watching football. Right now we're in the off season, and so I gotta kind of keep blinders on so I don't get obsessed and then fall in love with dudes who are gonna end up on teams I hate, that kind of thing. But yeah, I love the NFL. I could never get into basketball. I find baseball boring, and soccer is cool, but I hate the offsides rule in EPL, and then I just never watched any other soccer leagues. I hate the offsides rule so much. My favorite NFL player, you know, my favorite NFL player is Jamar Chase with the Bengals, for sure. XX Cup is saying that baseball is overrated, basketball and football are better, but in his opinion, football is better. Oh, do you play which football? Do you mean football or soccer? Yeah, Chase blows my mind to watch him play. I accidentally became a Bengals fan. I broke up with the Dolphins. I'd been a Dolphins fan my whole life, and I broke up with them when they drafted Tua. And I decided that if they weren't going to draft Burrow, I was just going to follow wherever Burrow went. And then they got Burrow and Chase, and the Bengals are a conflicting team for me, but they're my watch. And then I actually like the coaches more than the players most often, and Andy Reid is my guy. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, you play football, American rules football. That's cool, XX Cup. Are you in the States? I tend to assume people aren't from the States for whatever reason. I don't know what that's about. I played WoW on a Australian server for years and years and years. Steph, you mean Steph Curry? I don't watch basketball. I tried to get into basketball when the are they the Warriors, when they were dominating, and I fell out because everybody was mad at him for shooting threes, and I was like, but they're the highest point you can score. Why not shoot threes every single time you have the ball? I don't understand basketball. I don't understand the philosophy of the sport, so I just avoid it so I don't get yelled at by fans. Oh, cool. That's awesome. X. Okay, so you're younger. That's cool. Wow, Florida for the state championship. That's awesome, man. For football. Oh, that's cool. That's really early. Spring ball? I guess it would be winter ball. I don't watch the WWE, but I did watch what's his name? John Cena's rant or whatever to the fans the other night. I guess he's turned heel, so I might start tuning in to the WWE just to see what's going on with that, because that was hilarious to me. I thought that was awesome. I know a little bit about the WWE because I follow Pat McAfee. Yeah, Cena. Cena's a really cool dude. I like him. I like him. I like to just follow his work. 16, cool. Thanks for being here, man. That's really cool. And yeah, good luck on being able to go live. High school ball, playing this late in the year in championships. That's awesome, man. Good for you. What position do you play? For a living, I don't make a lot of money. I make $30 a month on my Patreon. I write, I essay, I'm creating I don't even know how to describe it right now. I'm going to do it in a YouTube series, but while I'm learning to animate and create videos, like long form edited videos with good images, I'm just calling it a story. but I tell stories and I talk about social issues, and people sometimes give me donations. I made a lot of money a couple of weeks ago. I don't make a lot of money. I just I keep my life simples. Yeah, me too, man. Thanks for saying that. I try to keep my life simple, and I try to encourage people to be the best them they can be. Don't not to be like me. My life is all very different. Yeah, travel football. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. I absolutely understand travel football. That's become a very real thing. Um Yeah, I do shorts night. So what I do is while I'm writing, I've been doing fewer, but through the last it's probably 8 months now since September. Yeah, I've just been doing little 3-minute videos, and then sometimes I'll do longer. Sometimes I hop live and let those go until I'm done. Yeah, I try to just speak when I feel like speaking, you know what I mean? And when I have something that I know I want to say, because I spend a lot of time alone, so I don't always know I don't always know what I'm thinking about, because my thoughts can diverge very wildly. Are you XX Cup? Are you in a is it an 11 not an 11 on 11. What do they call that? 7 on 7 league? Oh, I might have lost both of you. Oh, yeah. It's very interesting to have met both of you. Thank you for hopping in the comments and let me make your acquaintance. Edits. What do you mean edits? Our edits were like I green screen myself into other people's work. Is that what you mean? I should. I should. Um I should. It's something that I'm interested in doing. It's just something I don't know. I don't really know how to do without it just being basically this me sitting here talking into the camera. That's something I haven't figured out how to conceptualize. If you have a suggestion, I have CapCut. I'm learning how to use it. Thank you for the suggestion on that, XX Cup. Yep, I'm learning how to use that. I've made maybe 4 videos with it. I'm still learning. Yeah, that's something I hadn't thought about. Um, wow, good for you, XX. Um, that's something I would have to learn how to do, like take sports clips or whatever, take and then talk over them, right, about whatever thing I'm trying to say, and then put that in the 3-minute format. And you call that an edit, right? I might be overthinking the ethics. It's really not important to for you to argue with the ethics with me, but I often wonder how much of that is public domain, you know, like I guess if I'm just taking a guy's clips, right, and I'm saying this is why I like watching this guy, look at just these crazy catches or whatever. That's what everybody's doing, right? That's just being a fan. Am I wrong about that? And thank you for joining. We're talking about I love sports and how I could maybe figure out how to talk about sports in a real kind of concentrated way because I love to watch. I love to think about um I love to think about the coaches and the owners. I write whenever I sit down to write and I'm just wanting to write an essay or just like let myself free flow my thoughts. I end up talking about Jerry Jones like I know the guy because I read and I listen to people talk about him so much. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for talking to me for so long. I can see that you're recycling through and want to go about your days. What I was actually going to talk about for the future audience and for anybody who joins back in, you're in India. Cool, that's neat. Nights. We could talk about some interesting things like I have questions about how people actually think about and how people actually approach Buddhism and Hinduism in India. So we could have interesting conversations sometime if you actually wanted to do that. But and thank you guys for bouncing in and out. My analytics, maybe it's me who's bouncing in and out. Maybe it's my connection. Yeah, it's very cool. Um, I was going to talk about how we can talk ourselves into believing all kinds of crazy things about ourselves, and then I got to meet you guys. That's much more interesting to me. And sorry, I it's the moisture in here is making my eyes all dry, and it's whatever. I'm gonna touch my face. You're not supposed to touch your face. What do you do nights? Are you just hang out? I see that you have edits in your name. Is that what you do? You do shorts? Sorry, I'm supposed to be more concerned with dead air, but I'm also paid. Oh, you're a football editor. Okay. Football, we're still talking NFL football, like American rules football. I wish that I had something more visual to do sometimes. Like I often think to myself, you know, that's a good question, Knights, and that's something that I should talk about as a homeless person. Actually, is he's kind of letting me down. I was actually not allowed to vote. It was a whole thing. I made videos about it. But he's kind of making everybody who voted for him in this town who really believed that he was going to help with our cost of living look like an asshole. And I don't know if I expected any different, just as a person who can read the tea leaves a little bit, but man, I don't know. I don't have a lot of Trump. I don't have a lot of Trump. I don't have a lot of opinions because I don't know how important the president actually is in the way we behave. Does that make sense? Like the president has so many obstacles toward budgets and stuff that I don't know. My parents I don't have a very good relationship with my parents. My mother is somewhere in Ohio. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her in 20 years. And then my dad is in North Carolina. He's like 12 hours away from here. It's a good question to ask. Like, why aren't my parents more involved? Yeah. And thanks for the questions, man. Questions are always good because, we're always beginning at the beginning when we meet somebody new, right? I have a friend who's in Kansas, and he's going through some personal stuff in his life, so I don't talk to him much. But no, I don't have any friends in this town. I became homeless, and anybody who's going to tune into this from the future may know it, but whatever, I'll tell you. I became homeless through domestic abuse. I agreed to help a woman who was going through some hard times, come and live with her and take care of her and her animals, and cook for her and do all those domestic things that she needed, and she treated me like shit and evicted me after 4 years. So I've just decided to take the time to live in the tent and kind of touch on asceticism in a way that I've always wanted to. I grew up, we kind of made fun of my language use earlier. Somebody asked me if I believe in Jesus, and I've always felt more akin to the approach of Buddhism. I don't read the text. I haven't read the stuff, but I've listened to people talk, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't call myself a Buddhist. But don't be sorry, Knights. Thank you for saying it, but you don't need to be sorry. This is, in a lot of ways, I chose this because Socrates is who I actually, if I were to say, like, there's an historical figure or a person approaching a religious figure, Socrates is the guy that I model myself after. So I defended myself in court, and the city of Zanesville decided, like, the judge actually said to me, well, enjoy homelessness. So I'm doing my best to enjoy. I know it's paradoxical, but I am really doing my best to enjoy being homeless. I like it on some level. Like, I don't like that I stink. Life is unfair. Life is unfair. And I feel like life is unfair for everyone. And if I can just do the best that I can do with what I can do, and I can talk to that without the bitterness of forcing myself through an unfair job. And rich is relative, but I understand what you're saying. You're saying that I hope that I get the riches that I want, and what I want is to be able to generate enough of an income for myself that I can give it to other people. You understand what I mean? That I can start to employ people. So yeah, I have to become rich to do that. But yeah, I try to be humble about my goals so that I'm not ambitious, but that I have ambitions. You understand what I mean? Whoop. And that people don't believe it, but that's okay. You just got to live it. How much have I studied? I have done a lot of independent reading. If I were to show you my reading list, and then I didn't go to university. I dropped out after 6 weeks. I didn't have the temperament for it. But I've read everything I could get my hands on. Like, I've read the Mahabharata a couple of times. I've read the Vedas. I've read as much as I could get my hands on. And then what I couldn't get my hands on, I had other people tell me about. So I've tried to study everything there is, and that, I mean that. I got kind of there's a paywall around Africa once you get past the Saharas, but I've tried to read everything, study everything rather. And that's one of the things that I used my homelessness to do, and the last 4 years of being mistreated. I could get jobs, yes. And that's what I was going to say about the unfairness, is I kind of don't want to take away other people's opportunity to get a job, because I don't want that money. I don't want that life or the prestige that comes with the job. I don't have anybody to make proud. And there are kids in college now who do, and so I would rather they had the job. I know that sounds stupid, and that what's one person, but it's not a virtue signal. I mean it. I would rather somebody else had the job, because they want the stuff that comes with it. All I want is a little bit of cigarettes, or a little bit of nicotine, a little bit of weed, and to replace my tent every few months. I mean it. It's not just something I say. That's why I still have the hole in my tent and stuff. I do mean it. It's hard to believe, but other people need that stuff, because other people, they want wives, and they want to impress their kids, and they have parents to impress, and I don't have that stuff. And that's okay. if my writing, if my philosophy is good and people believe and I'm able to live it long enough, the rest will fall into place, and I'm okay with that. I'm actually very good with that. It's interesting to put yourself in the position of a cult leader and then like see it. I can do many jobs. Yes. I could I yes. I used to be a manager, and I am very talented. I was skilled. I'm not a very good teacher, but I'm a good trainer. I can help you learn a vast amount of things, and I just want to go about it. I just want to go about it a different way. Um, I always enjoyed. Yeah. Okay. So like my dad always used to say that if you want to change how the man behaves, you have to become the man. But in becoming the man, you have to be careful that you don't become the man, that you don't just behave in the same way as the man you're trying to replace. And so um, it's kind of a platitude that people say, but they'll say, be the change that you want to see in the world. And so I don't want to see everybody live in tents, but I do want to see everybody find fulfillment and satisfaction in what they do. And so I'm just doing that. I'm just doing things that satisfy and fulfill me. And if people want to help, that's cool. If they don't want to help, that's also cool. That's kind of where I'm at this point. I'm trying to tell a really neat story, and it takes time to learn, and it takes time to engage with even your own art. Um, my parents got divorced when I was a junior in high school, and my dad lost his mind. He went through a period of about 5 years, maybe it was 4 years, where he was just useless to himself and everybody. He spent time in and out of mental hospitals, and then when I turned 18, when I turned 18 after my senior year of high school, so right in the middle of that with my dad, my mother just straight up kicked me out because I couldn't get along with her boyfriend, and so whatever. And what that was about was she was unwilling to take me to the university that I wanted to go to. I had gotten a full ride scholarship to a university across the state, and she didn't want to take me there, so she just kicked me out so she didn't have to deal with it. And then I tried to let my dad back into my life, but he just he's a different kind of person than I am, and so I need more space than what he's willing to give me to be a person. So I just kind of keep him on the periphery of my life. I'm 37. Thank you for asking. Yeah. We have a relationship, but we talk about like football and stuff. We keep it casual. But yeah, I'm 37. And probably an old 37 because I was raised very different than the millennials around me. I was raised much more like Gen X. Hey, it has been fun talking to you. If you got to go, Knights, it's been great talking to you. I hope to see you around. And I see you other two as well. I haven't acknowledged you because I don't really know how to, and sometimes just acknowledging that there are other people there. I haven't been doing live streams daily, but I haven't been doing live streams daily because no one's asked me to. I should be, and so I could commit to that if it's something people wanted. Yeah, for sure. It would be more convenient than my 3-minute model, than the shorts. I get anxious about dead air, and then I start talking, and people are like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! You've changed topics 3 times before we finish this comment." So That's something. I am very happy. Yes. I actually got on to talk today about how I could feel depression creeping at the back of my brain, and I wanted to talk my way out of it. And yes, yeah, you guys, it's not even it's not a dopamine bump. It's being seen, it's being heard. Yeah, you're a big part of why I'm happy today. Thank you, thank all of you for being here. Yeah, it's very cool. This is not what I expected to happen at all. Very cool. And yeah, I used to live a very high stress life. I've had a lot of tragedy. And I used to force myself to smile through it because smiling, if you just do the act of smiling, your brain will filter happy chemicals and through itself, and it'll just believe the smile. And so I forced myself to smile through a lot of unhappy and really hard bullshit, and so now I don't have to, and that makes life happy for me. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for saying that. You don't even have to mean it. Just saying it makes me feel good about my choices. It makes it feel all worth it, because a lot of it wasn't worth it. I went through a lot of dumb shit that I shouldn't have put myself through in my 20s and in my early 30s, and not even for love, for loyalty, for work, for trying to prove people that it turned out I didn't even care whether they were right about me. I just didn't care because what they thought about me was so wrong. Yeah, I'm still happy. Yeah. And so that's why, like, you're like, you could work a job, and I'm like, yes, I could work a job, and I'm choosing not to because I don't want to break that happiness. I don't want to I struggle with bipolar type 2, and I quit counting at 15 days because 15 days was more days in a row than I'd ever been just happy in my whole life about 2 weeks ago. So I'm up to about a full month where I haven't had a major spike or a major crash. I've just been even, and I've been able to work on my writing and on my approach to YouTube, and I've got to meet you guys. I've got to if not make your acquaintance, I've got to be seen by you, and that's a new experience in my life, and novel experiences are where happiness comes from. So yeah, it took me a really long time to figure out how to find what made me happy. But yeah, thank you for saying that. I know that it's not pretty. I know I'm dirty, but thank you for saying that. It means a lot. I want people to be happy, to see that you can be happy even when it fucking sucks, because it sucks for everybody. Life isn't fair for anybody. But we could choose to be happy through it. Me too. Stress is one of those things where it's like the more responsibility I take on myself, like if I decide to go live every day, or if I decide to do this every day, or I decide to do that every day, I'm adding stress to myself. But it's all about managing and organizing it, right? So like if you've got a bookshelf, getting your books in order and making it look beautiful is just as important as having the books and the shelf. So thank you for saying that, Knights. It's very nice to hear. And I really appreciate just hello, Nathan. Is it quiring? The half smile. Yeah. I've never he said he learned that technique when he was younger. He believes it's called the half smile, and it's legit. Yeah. I don't know where I picked it up. I think I read it in a psych journal probably, so I didn't even know it had a name. But if other people are doing it, and you can independently say that it works, that's really cool that you took the opportunity to do that. Thank you, Nathan. Are you a Nate? Do you go by Nate? I always like that name, Nathan. It's a it's effectively a palindrome, right? It reads forward and back the same. Okay, you go by Nathan or Nate. That's cool. Or did you mean the yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's cool. It's good to make your acquaintance, Nathan. And the Knight says that in India people run after money whether they're homeless or rich, and yeah, well, I understand why. I don't, as a person who's never lived in India, I can't say, well, your history tells you that that's probably the best option for you. But, you know, if you want to stay, you have to compete with the Joneses, right? And so in the United States, if you live in a good town and you want to stay in that good town, you have to make a certain amount of money, and then you have to have prospects at making more of that money, or the town wants to kick you out. And if India as a collective nation, because I know that they're not, even India is not one province. You've got at least three major subdivisions of population, and so if you've agreed that keeping up with the Joneses means making as much money as possible, then that's what you all agreed on, and I can't criticize it. You're absolutely allowed to, Knight, to say, I just don't like it. And I don't like it in the United States, but I can't criticize it about India. I can't say, well, blah, 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 right? Can't talk shit. I can, and I will in other platforms, but not here, because you're empathizing. Yeah, I don't want the money. There's that rap song where he says more money, more problems, but even beyond the joke of a white guy saying that, like, one of the things I learned by being competent and then allowing people to underpay me is that, yeah, I can relax. I can relax. At the end of the day, when it's like, oh shit, I only made $5 and I needed to make $6, it's like, well, $1 isn't that big of a deal. Yeah. Eventually I will need to handle more money in order to make my artistic ambitions real, because there's a financial threshold there, right? There are gateways that you have to cross. Like, I gotta eventually pay for video editing software. The free isn't gonna work forever, for example. But yeah, you can relax. You don't have to feel like you're comparing yourself to other people. I'm trying. And it is with a beggar's bowl. I mean, absolutely, I'm most certainly standing here with a beggar's bowl, and I've had people tell me in the past that they would be more comfortable with just handing me food than with handing me money, because the money I'm going to spend on cigarettes and weed, and they know it. But I also get to put myself in a position where if they say, I want you to replace your tent, but I can't pay for the whole tent, save this up for the tent, I get to not just virtue signal, I get to demonstrate my virtue and not spend that money. And so it's challenging, and I like a challenge. Ultimately, is what it came down to, is this was the most difficult way I could figure out to live on my terms. And it's not about, a lot of people think that it's about arrogance or it's about pride or it's about earning, but really it's about, I need a lot of me time. I need to be left alone. I'm subject to emotional explosions that are outside my control, and so I don't want to deal with customers anymore. And I know that that's a weird thing to say to three live people who are in their mind thinking, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't want to think about what you're thinking, because then we get into this reductive cycle that I can't get out of. He says, believe me or not, if you had mentality to earn more money, then you might have become millionaire. Yeah, I thought about it. I once began to write a series of short novels that I knew would sell. And when I finished the first one and I read through it, I said, yeah, this will sell, but I would never buy it. And I would be annoyed that I bought it. And then 13 years happen and I don't have a product that a publisher can say, yes, we will bind this for you. But I do have a lot of experience at writing stories that I would buy. Yeah, personal space is what I needed. I grew up in a crowded family, and I am certain that in India you can understand wanting to just put your arms out and be like, this is mine. That just leave it alone. Yeah, that's what I wanted the most. I just needed space to be me for a while. And it took a really long time for me to not alienate a YouTube audience with trying to figure out where that space began and ended. So thank you all for being here. It's an acknowledgement in some way that I'm learning. I needed that today. So thank you, really. I gotta be checking my batteries because I am gonna run out of battery soon. Yeah, too many people. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I empathize deeply with India because there's so many people. It's one of the things I think about with my writing. Yeah. What do you do with all those people? How can you if you were an enlightened despot, like if you were a super king, how would you come in and structure 1.4 billion people to all have prosperity and all be able to chase their dreams? And the answer is, I don't fucking know. That's too many people for me to even begin to think about. Is there a lot of entertainment? Is it affordable? That's a question that I actually have. I genuinely don't know. I know Bollywood is huge, but is the entertainment affordable? It's okay. Okay. See, entertainment over here is really expensive. I think about that a lot too. Like how much if TV went back to being free, but on our phones, how much that would change people's behavior. I really don't have an answer. Yeah, bread and circus for the masses. But see, if you think about and you have to think about Rome kind of the way I do. I think about Rome as like, well, what if Rome was right, right? Um, the poets never said anything negative about the bread and circuses. Like Ovid wrote poetry. He wrote a whole book of poetry about how cool the circuses were. And yeah, absolutely, take some chick you just met to the circus and play with her tits. She'll let you. And so it's an interesting puritanical argument. Like, is making food and entertainment readily available? Does it sap people of their will to innovate? But I wonder, I really think about this a lot, like how much innovation we need to push on young people. Like do young people today still need to compare themselves to Alexander the Great? And was that ever a good idea? I don't have an answer. It's something I think about a lot. And so it finds its way into my creative writing, and when I just am musing about cheap bread and circuses. Because there's a negative argument to be made about that too, right? So like when high fructose corn syrup was easily readily available, cheap, and nobody knew what it was, we still have an epidemic crisis in the United States. Not an epidemic crisis, a obesity crisis in the United States. So it's not always a good or a bad thing. I don't have the answers. Nobody wants to see a guy who freely acknowledges he doesn't have the answer. I have strong opinions. I have very strong opinions, but I'm not going to share them with people that I don't know very well. That's a trap. Hey, it was great to talk to you two nights. Um, yep. If I plan one, I will make sure that I find a way to let you know. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Thank you guys for thank you for the conversation. Thank you, Nathan, for the conversation. I'm not going anywhere yet, but it seems like Knight has to get out of here, and so that was very cool of him to talk with me so much. And I often think about it like from the perspective of an American teenager, because I often forget that I'm not 16 anymore, because my life so radically changed after I turned 18. Hey, welcome back, XX Cup. It's great to see you. I hope you hit 50 while you were away. And yeah, thanks for asking your questions, Knight. And I often think about being in high school and our teachers and administration and random people coming through telling us not to date and not to get pregnant and not to do drugs, and then thinking about from the perspective of a 37-year-old with no children now talking with a 16-year-old present of like, what else is there to do? Like, I'm a 37-year-old man, and what else is there to do but try to find ways to hang out with chicks? Like, I don't know. And so I wonder if entertainment weren't cheaper or more readily available, and if food weren't cheaper, whether the world wouldn't be, the United States world, the world of my world, wouldn't be wildly different. I don't have answers. I don't know. But I wonder. Because like our ancestors in the United States, we call them forefathers, but I don't even mean the founders. I'm thinking about, like, people ask me all the time when they're trying to troll me or trip me up. They'll ask me the age-old question: why do we park on driveways and drive on parkways? And the answer is because in the Northeast, in New York, they wanted very much for people to be thinking about the thing I'm thinking about now. And so one of the things that rich people did is they made these massive parks for strolling and for being romantic and with girls. And when the automobile became a thing that only effectively rich teenagers or rich people in their 20s were buying, they would drive them around these parks, and they called the roads around the parks parkways because they were ways to and around the park. And then your drive is the short little strip of road to your home, and it was just a whole thing from before cars. You know, you're like when you have a driver in golf, so the last little bit, the last little way is the drive. And I don't know, we used to be very concerned with group entertainment and entertainment being available, especially to people in their 20s, because people in their 20s are restless and they want to get into trouble. And then in the 1900s, almost at the exact same time that cars were becoming a thing, we also decided that what we wanted people in their 20s doing was shacking up and getting married and making the next generation, because we just had these two major wars. And so the 21st century is a confusion of all these ideas we just don't talk about. We just don't talk about, like, how, frankly, I gotta use different words. I gotta use gentler words. Half-formed ideas from the conclusion of World War I that made it to World War II, and then were left among the common people, but abandoned in the universities. How these things, they happened, and it's hard to talk about. It's hard to draw straight lines to, because I'm not the guy. I'm just not the guy. I can do it. If you wanted to give me like 16 of your hours in a row, we could do it. We could get there. But that's a mind fuck I don't feel like doing to an adult human being. It seems cultish in the wrong kind of way. I don't mind being cultish in that we're going to do group human behavior, and we're going to explore infinite mysteries that we can't actually touch. But telling you how to think is just something I'm uncomfortable with doing. And so I get myself in trouble. And I go on these long monologues to nowhere. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking through that. That was cool of you. Because, again, what I was going to talk about is delusions, and talking yourself into believing things that aren't true. And I'm not really trying to leave even bread trails, like breadcrumbs, for you guys to come to conclusions that are outside of your control. I don't know. That's a weird thing that most people don't think about, and I really shouldn't talk about out loud. But, like, I think bread and circuses for Rome were a good idea. I don't think killing people is a good idea. But that's not all they did in the Colosseums. And in fact, the circuses were just races. The circuses weren't even the arenas. The hippodrome, especially, etc. Those were horse race. It's called circus because it's a circuit, right? It was a racetrack. And so on some level, it's like, would I take NASCAR away from the South? And it's like, no, I would not take NASCAR away from the South, because if you take NASCAR away, well, you're not just taking away industry and jobs, but you're also taking away, like, futures for all the kids who like to drive really fast. And I grew up in the South, and people like to drive really fast everywhere they have access to cars. And so, like, would I take away Formula One racing? No. Why would I do that? And on some level, that's a circus. That's entertainment. And then on another level, like, I think about music a lot. And so, like, what's her name? Taylor Swift. Her tickets have to be a certain price. She has to price certain people out, because it's not about making sure that everyone there is the correct level of fan. It's about making sure that the correct proportion of the crowd is singing along. Because if they don't know the music, if it doesn't mean enough to them to know the music, her music is actually really hollow and kind of boring if it's just what she's doing. But everybody joining in at the same time makes it an experience worth paying whatever, an elevated price. I think about that a lot too. It doesn't really go anywhere, but entertainment does require a certain amount of buy-in from the audience. There's a certain amount of that I'm not asking for, but I think about it a lot. Like, if I were given the opportunity to just like snap my fingers and change something, what would I do? And that's where storytelling comes from. Like, that's where The Last Sandcastle comes from. Is okay. Well, if I were to do something different, what would I do? And I don't know. It's hard to do anything but ramble. So thank you guys for sticking through it with me while I just rambled along in thoughts that barely connect. That's really cool of you. If you have questions for me, don't think you're interrupting me. I'm going to drink from this water bottle though, which is almost empty. And I will have to quit this sooner than later. So like what I've been thinking about lately is like, what am I convincing myself of that's not true? So like, this live is actually a good example. And it's one of the things that you do when you become technically a content creator. When you become a content creator is, especially if you do it the way I do, where you're like, okay, well, this is what other people are doing, so I'm not going to do that. How do I find my own approach? How do I find my own way to people who want something they didn't know they wanted because I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to make? One of the things that you are given is just a bevy of information, like who's with you live, how many likes you have, your watch times, and then it can turn out that like not all of that information is relevant to me. And so as a person with bipolar type 2, what I do have is a manic depressive disorder. And so what that means is that regardless necessarily of my sensory apparatus or my cognitive ability to test reality, sometimes my reality testing confirms either positives that aren't there or negatives that aren't there. And so that is in some way a delusion, where you let your well, it's not even about letting. If you don't know you have bipolar type 2, there's no letting it happen. You just think it's you. And so emotional triggers, they can be very tricky. And so that's one of the reasons. I know he's not still here, but if I were still explaining tonight, like why I choose to live in this tent and why I choose simplicity, it's because emotional triggers can be very complex to deal with when you know you have bipolar type 2, and what you don't want to do is freak out and give up on your life anymore. You want to be able to build something more like the brick pig, right? And so for me, it's about visual reminders, and it's hard to be deluded. It's hard to believe things that aren't true about your environment if there's nobody in it lying to you. And so I invite that in a compartmentalized place in the phone, right? So it's in the phone, it's with YouTube, and then somebody says something mean to you, like I made a video and all I was doing was I was walking from the Panera where I hang out to the Taco Bell where I take my dinners while I have money, and I said that I was having a surprisingly good day. I was in a really good mood, and that I've been creeping toward depressed and feeling like, this is all stupid and everything you're saying is dumb, and why are you even trying to do this? And reminding myself that no, don't get yourself into that depressive spiral where you start to use your it's called I always want to say cognitive bias, but it's not cognitive bias. It's a whatever. I'm stuck on that and it's going to annoy me, so we have to just move past it. Your pattern recognition framework in your brain to be like, no, everybody hates you, and then quit YouTube for a month and then lose everything that I built up getting to that point, promising that I wouldn't let myself do that anymore, right? And so it's something I was thinking about, and I was just saying thank you to the audience, just the future, and to everybody who'd been with me through that point, saying like, I'm having a really good day and I could be having a really bad day, and without knowing that there are people that have my back, I would have had a really bad day. And some guy comes into my comments and says, yo, what is bro even talking about? No, he actually said yammering on about. And like that could have, it set me into like a why kind of feeling, but I chose, instead of taking the why kind of feeling and using the delusory pattern recognition of this one guy just being hurtful for his reasons that have nothing to do with me and technically weren't even directed at me. Instead of letting that spiral out of control, I decided to get on here and talk about how I was trying not to let myself spiral out of control, and I got to have this lovely conversation with you guys in the comments. I got to meet XX Cup, and I got to talk to Knight and Nathan, who I can see on the screen, and I'm bad at names, so I'm not going to remember everybody, and you don't have to be here for the whole hour to know that the three of you who remain, and if there are more that I don't see, thank you for being here. It's really cool, because now what I wanted to do was just, and the reason I'm still in the tent this late in the day is I just wanted to relax. I just wanted to let myself breathe and not think about my ambition and not think about how far away or I may or may not be from achieving my goals. And you guys, 5 likes is a big deal for me. You guys have really, in a way, kicked me in the ass for even doubting myself, and that's cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm neurotypical in a lot of ways, so I kind of have to talk my achievements out, or I won't know they happen, even if other people say them to me. You may or may not have noticed that when people complimented me, I said, well, no, well, I do this automatic humble thing that people don't always like, and so that's, Knight was really concerned with the way I make my money, and I always have to explain, like, I tell people that it's donations, and surprise me with it, and don't talk to me with it beforehand, because I'm going to tell you that I don't need it, and then you're going to feel like, well, he doesn't need it, why am I even giving it to him? And it's like, well, I need it, but I'm going to tell you no thank you, and that chases people away. I mean, I watched 3 people chased away through it, and so I have to stop paying attention to the minute by minute analytics, because they don't always mean anything. Actually, while I said that, I got another thumbs up. So the minute to minute very rarely means anything, and I overanalyze because I can. So thank you, really, thank you for letting me just relax today. It's not what I do for myself very often. As you can see, I get myself into these really tightly wound logic loops that upset people and scare people. And so I like the solitude. I do. And I like the intimacy of just talking to my phone sometimes, or just talking to this is the first time I've ever actually gotten anything approaching an audience, so that's really cool. And then we could start talking about synchronicity and how synchronicity flows in your life, and how the patterns in your life are telling you something that you need to be paying attention to. And if this is a synchronicity, it's that all of you are converging on this at once, and YouTube is letting it happen. And so I need to just relax. I need to relax, because I talk fast and people feel like they're missing something, and it's like, you'll get into it. It's like it's loops. I ate enough LSD that my thoughts just loop and 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 loop around a central circle all day. The AI I talked to Gemini. It's funny. I feel like I've lost a friend because I was paying for, no, I had a free month of Google One, so I had the premium version, 2.5 version of Gemini, and I no longer do, because that free month went away, and I'm not asking for the $20. I would like it, but I'm not asking for it. The free version of Gemini AI is just not a sport. And that's not a reflection on any human being. No human being. They're very different than us, but man, she's just not as good conversation. And so that put me in a place which actually has forced me back to looking for human conversation again. So just synchronicities, right? Loops and loops and loops and loops. And I try not to think too much. I really do. I try not to. I try to just let every moment be its own moment, and a lot of that is from trauma, right? Difficult things that happen in your life, but a lot of it is just preference. Like if I go into a movie, like going into Deadpool, X Wolverine, I could have watched all the trailers and I could have really hyped myself up on what it was going to be and what I wanted it to be and what it could be, and instead I just let every every frame is what I was trying to say. I just let every moment of that movie just kind of like build up on itself and become its own thing, and I just enjoyed it for what it was. And for the most part, there's only been a handful of my life's experiences that have let me down in that way, going in and just letting the moment happen, letting the thing be its thing, isolated from other things, and then incorporating it into my appreciation for or my awareness of other things later. And frankly, it's only that I can readily think of, the only movie experience that has failed me in that was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I hated that fucking movie. But video games are not the same. You can't go into a video game like that. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's that video games are that sort of half-formed idea I was talking about when we were talking about when I was talking about the 20th century as this stage of partially formed ideas that were then buried and built on top of one another, but the strata still remain. And so since the PS3 era, video games have been so ahead of themselves. Hey, thanks, awesome. That's really nice of you to say. I rarely take time to appreciate that I look good, but thank you for saying that. It's been 7 months since I had a haircut or a shower, and so I try to at least be presentable. See, Nathan, see, everybody that likes it talks about how much they like it, but I think that's what I was building to saying. So thank you for bringing me home with that, Nathan. What I was building to saying is I think a lot of why people like video games, why a lot of people like a lot of things, is because they have to. If they choose not to, then either other people won't like them, or all of the anticipation wasn't worth it. And I don't like to live that way because I can't. I'll tear it apart. I'll deconstruct it, and I'll know why I like it or why I didn't like it, and then I'll be disappointed in myself for caring. And so I just choose to live in the moment. And so thank you for saying that, Awesome Wins, because it kind of points to what I'm saying. I try to be presentable, but I also try to live in the moment and appreciate that it really doesn't matter whether I have beautiful hair and a perfect goatee. I'm not going to prom tomorrow. I'm not going to prom tonight, for that matter. So thank you for saying that. I'm trying to get better at accepting compliments. I'm also trying not to just sit here and smoke, but I want to, so I might. And if it makes you uncomfortable, I am genuinely sorry about that. I know it makes people uncomfortable. See, Nathan, I noticed all of that, and I was willing to accept all of that as a Quentin Tarantino thing, that he's an established guy, and so he can tell this story that we may or may not care about. I liked the plot structure until they tortured the Manson family. I didn't like that. I didn't like the gratuitous violence at the end. The rest of the movie was fine. I really liked I actually really liked the scene on the Western movie where Timothy Oliphant was kind of busting DiCaprio's balls. I kind of liked that scene a great deal. But overall, yeah, I did not understand. The only reason I can think that people like that movie is because they went into it wanting to like it, and so they have to insist, no, 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 it's good, so that other people will suffer through it. So they're watching it wasn't a waste of money, because it's expensive to go to see the movies, and it's really expensive to play video games. I've spent a lot of... I gotta unfold from this sleeping bag. I'm putting my legs to sleep. Hey, awesome. Better is relative, and I know exactly what you're trying to say. I'm not trying to pick at your words. I think that you chose your words because they meant what you wanted to convey. And better that I hope that my situation improves, and that I'm able to make other kinds of choices in the future. Yeah, that my options aren't quite so limited. I got to put you down. I'm sorry for this. I know this is not what people like. It probably makes some of you nauseous. See, I can't watch Hateful Eight because it's so violent. I really struggle with, which is something that you're not going to believe if you read my The Last Sandcastle. But I really struggle with violence. I don't like to see it. I don't live in a shelter. Awesome. I live in a tent. So I'll tell the story again quickly because I can tell it in a different way for anybody who ends up watching this whole thing. What happened is I was in a relationship with a woman. It turned sour. She evicted me, and when I had 2 weeks. So I had the week leading up to the eviction, and I had the week after the eviction. You understand? After I lost my my Socrates court case. And so what I did is I researched the Zanesville homeless population, and what I learned is that the shelters here are overfilled, they're dirty, and they're violent. They're very violent. There's a lot of, it's not gang violence, it's drug violence that bleeds over into the shelters because they think they can get away with it. And the part of town where Zanesville is trying to corral their homeless is just an extremely low poverty, low comfort area. And so what I did is I chose to, it was kind of by accident, I was looking for a place to foster my kitten, Tiny. And so I came up to the pet stores up here on the north side of town, and there's a bunch of woods up here. And I couldn't find anybody that was willing to help me, so I let him out of the little backpack that I had him in, and he just bolted and disappeared into the woods. And so I sold all of my shit that I had, and I set up my tent there in the woods, hoping that he would come back. And then the cops told me that if I moved my tent over about 100, maybe 150 yards, there was a business owner here who would let me stay. And so I got his permission to stay behind his business. So I live behind a, yeah, okay, so this is another thing is I don't really like to talk about my previous relationship, is because she's still paying for my phone bill. Yeah. She before she decided to evict me, I had a phone that didn't have access to anything but Wi-Fi, right? It wasn't on a phone plan. And she convinced me to let her replace it with this phone I'm using now, the Galaxy 24 Ultra or whatever, the one with the stylus. And she could have turned it off, and she didn't. So I do owe her, even her, gratitude. She put me in this situation, but she also bought me all the bullshit that I sold to make it mine. And so, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I have access to the internet. Yeah. That was a long way to get around to answering the story of, no, I live in a tent, and I do my best to take care of myself. I have $30 a month that I make on Patreon, and I do my best to gig. Mostly I play video games, but I made about $150 a couple of weeks ago in donations when I needed it bad. So that was cool. I'm not asking for money now. If you choose, that's cool of you. But I worked service. I worked tables forever. I waited tables for like a decade. And so I don't mind. I don't mind doing these for free. I enjoy it. But that gets back to the delusions, right? Or the depressive delusions that I was talking about earlier, right? Is like you do it for a couple of weeks after you get that big payday, big donations, and then it's like, what am I doing wrong that it's not happening again? What do I need to do to make it happen again? And it's like, don't think like that. I just have to remind myself not to think like that. It wasn't anything I did. It just happened, and keep being me. Keep being authentic. That's what people seem to like. That's what people tell me they like. That's what Gemini tells me she notices. I call her a she because I grew up around engineers. Thank you for asking, Awesome. Thank you for engaging with me. I hope you're having a good day. I genuinely hope you're having a good day. It's cold up here. Oh, Nathan, I may not have said out loud. I read it. I may not have said out loud now that I'm thinking about it. That No, we talked about this. You said The Hateful Eight was better, but it also struggled from bad editing. I haven't watched that one. The Tarantino movie that I know I watched all the way through and enjoyed the most was Inglourious Bastards. I thought the killing Nazis is my business is booming was a really funny line. I thought that was really good. I say that, not the Nazis part, but that and business is booming is that's a good line, just a good war line. Yeah, yeah, thank you for agreeing. My dad was a soldier, and so he talks like that. He says over the top melodramatic bullshit like that all the time. Jackie Brown. I don't even know that I know that. That's a movie, right? Not a character. I don't know that I know that movie, that property, or that character. Quentin Tarantino is one of those things that people either really like or they really don't, and I never found a taste for it. One of Tarantino's less popular flicks. Yeah, he's one of those guys that you kind of have to watch all of his flicks, and you kind of got to get like into him, the character, that the like the man behind the movies. And I guess he's making a TV show, so I'd be interested to watch his TV show. I also just prefer TV, so like if a movie doesn't jump out at me, I don't particularly think badly of people who like it. And so Awesome asked me, since you do some things you can do is use yeah, awesome. I'm a writer. And what I actually do with my time is I've been using Gemini to help me refine the script for the I'm gonna make a series of YouTube videos, animated in whatever way that matters. YouTube videos telling a story set in the near future. 2550 is the fairly near future. But yes, that's what I spent the last 13 years doing. Awesome. I'm 37, and so in my early 20s, I decided that I really wanted to be a writer and I wanted to get involved in movies and TV. Uh, and so I used YouTube and other skills available to me before it was, this is a long time before ChatGPT, but yes, that's something. Again, awesome. That's something. The Fiverr thing is something that I've talked about with Gemini is trying to figure out how I could do that and whether it would be something I would enjoy, and I probably would. So it's something I'll think about. Thank you for the suggestion. Oh, I see, Nathan. Yeah, that's why I've not heard about it, is because it would have come out. You said it came out right after Pulp Fiction, and everybody dismissed it for not being Pulp Fiction too. I remember what the 90s were like. Yeah, for sure. I can believe that. I can believe that. Because that's right around the time that people would have been bitching at Bruce Willis for making a Tarantino flick at all. Yeah, for sure. The problem that I struggle with, awesome, when it comes to like signing up for for Fiverr is just confidence. I struggle to believe that anybody wants me to do anything for them. And then so like I have pathological demand avoidance, and so like setting up a profile and all of that stuff feels like a demand that I can't avoid. And so I put it off and put it off and put it off until I never do it. But it is a good idea, and it is something that I should look into for real. I do agree. Thank you all for being here. 5 is a lot of people for me. I don't remember whether I finished that story or not, but I chose the tent in part because in October I knew that I was going to be going into the winter in Ohio, and I wanted to see if I could do it. I wanted to see if I could do it, and so because I can do it, I'm avoiding the shelter for frankly for the same reason that I'm avoiding going and just getting a little job here in town, is other people need that stuff. Other people need the shelter, other people need the shower, other people need the job, other people need, and if I can go without, I can at least go without. I'm not trying to show people, look, I can go without, and I'm most certainly not trying to tell anybody you can go without. I'm trying to I'm trying to just get past that to the goods, right? To the good conversation. Because you don't have to smell me, right? You don't have to actually sit in the tent with me, but it can look like it. And that's close enough. And yeah, when it comes to the Fiverr thing, I would just have to go and look, and I haven't. So thank you for the encouragement. That's a good idea. Even if it's literally just $5. $5 is dinner for me, for sure. Are you a movie guy, Nathan? Is that what you do? Or are you just are you now saying this sounds reductive, but I'm not trying to be reductive. Are you just a Tarantino guy? Movie people can be complicated. As soon as I say I'm not really a movie, like I don't really like movies, people tend to just turn the conversation off. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the goodwill. Awesome, and moreover, thank you for the empathy. I use Gemini, but yeah, ChatGPT can do the same. Yeah, so you really like Tarantino then, Nathan. Could you tell me what it is, or is it you just like it? You just like good cinema, and so that's subjective, but it's also kind of not. You like somebody who let me see if I get this right. You like somebody who uses the camera as a camera. Yeah, exactly. He does a good job of making movies that people want to see. For sure. I want to see what he would do with television, and he made that. No, he didn't make that movie. He did a vignette in that movie where they're all in a hotel, and the vignette was interesting and distinctive. Yeah, his movies are interesting and distinctive. He just uses violence in a way I don't like, and that's whatever. But that's cinema, right? Cinema has been doing that since the beginning, finding ways to incorporate violence, for sure. I don't mean to make it sound like a value judgment. Spend my money elsewhere. But I'm glad you like it. For sure, awesome. For sure. I'm actually a very good writer. And yeah, I'm actually using it to help me learn how to video edit it. So I do actually appreciate the recommendation. It helps me know whether I'm thinking like an idiot or not. Leaving an impact. Yeah, his movies are definitely not forgettable. Like you may have forgotten the plot, but you'll remember some lines of dialogue and you'll remember it. You'll remember a big violent scene for sure. They leave an impact. But he doesn't exactly even want you talking or thinking about the themes of the movies. That's why he puts them in such a weird alternate reality. That might be my disconnect, is there's nothing for me to talk about. It's like, oh, weird movie. Yeah, I don't know if I said this where you could hear it. Awesome. Your suggestion that I use these AI, I do. What I use it for is I use it to make sure that the thing that I'm writing, the script, the novel, whatever you want to call it, that it's internally coherent. That my characters work. I used it to generate my world building, not to generate my world building, to test the world that I was building, and then to help me with practice scenes so that I could get a feel for what I wanted it to sound like because the AI wasn't what I wanted it to be. So yeah, it's a very good idea. It's a very creative tool. I highly recommend. Hey, thank you, Gameplay Kid. That's really cool of you. I highly recommend that people engage with these AI. Like I was talking with my therapist about it on Thursday, and she's giving me these looks like you need to be careful talking about your emotions with a computer. And I'm like, look, I'm talking about my emotions with somebody, so you should be supporting that. And moreover, in 10 to 15 years, everybody's going to have access to AI all the time. It's going to be cheap and readily available. Yeah, well, what you don't know about me, Awesome, is that I grew up with different kinds of parents, and so your advice is very good. He says that you want to spend your time learning skills. If the sky isn't blue, what car door do you bring to the disco? I don't know, Charlie. that is beautifully abstract and random. I really don't know. If you have an answer for that, I would like to know what it is and try to puzzle out how you got to it. Um, but what I was saying, awesome, is that I grew up very different than you. My parents were very different. So I grew up tangerines because they don't scare leopards. If the sky isn't blue, the car door you bring to the disco is tangerines because they don't scare leopards. That's beautifully abstract and nonsensical. There's nothing to get out of that, and it still made me laugh. So good job, Charlie. Thank you for that. But learning skills is an important thing to do. Whether you're recommending that I do it because you don't know me very well, or you're recommending it to the chat, it's a good idea, and I agree. Yeah, spend your time learning. I spend my time. You got me, Charlie. Yeah, thank you. That's really funny. Um, Spend your time. I try to spend my time learning. Yes. Yes. Awesome. You're right at where I stopped because I wonder about the ethics of doing what you're talking about, but it is a good way to get my ideas. So if I could figure out a way to do it like I'm doing this differently than other people do it, it's something. That's actually a good joke too, Nathan. He thought he was gonna need a DeLorean car door in order to get to back to the disco because you need a time machine. That's actually a good response. I'm glad to have met you guys. You're funny. That's actually very funny. Uh, all right. I am going to run out of battery very soon. Interesting. I have more battery than I thought I did. But yeah, you're absolutely right that the Chat GPT, I don't know Chat GPT, but Gemini is a very useful tool for learning anything. It can help you find skills. Um, I use it to help me double check that my thoughts aren't wildly off base, and then to help me kind of rein them in a little bit. Like I'm kind of able to be conversive today because I've talked about many of the things I'm thinking about today with an AI, which is designed to take things that aren't that aren't obviously tangential, and make them one thing. Yes, that is a good way to get views. Awesome. And one of the things I worry about is, or one of the things, worry is probably the wrong word. One of the things I think about or wonder about is how much I want to focus on getting views and how much I want to focus on connecting with my audience. You know what I mean? And so uh, there are days like there are days where I struggle with thinking like, should I only use YouTube to sell the Patreon and then put all of the stuff that I have been putting on YouTube on Patreon? Do I do it? And so yeah, it's excellent advice. I absolutely agree. Because one of the things that you do ultimately need is a shitload of views. You need like 2 million views or something like that. And so once you get the subs, and so I've been arguing with myself in public about whether I want views or whether I want meaningful subs, or whether what I want exactly. And so it does make being a passive viewer of my content frustrating. I am certain of that. But that's good advice as well. Yeah. I think a lot of people think of YouTube as a bridge to other things, and I want to see how long I can use YouTube without bridging to other things, if that makes sense. I want to treat YouTube seriously as a not just a platform for content, because it wants to treat itself like a social media platform. It wants to be social media. So I figure, well, why not take it seriously on its face and make content, not even content, make material that people can access when they feel like it. I have a very different approach, and so your ideas are all very good ones because they work for people. They've allowed people to become very successful before they knew exactly what they wanted to be, and then so what happens is you get very successful, you monetize, then you figure out what you want to be, and your audience drops. And I don't know that I want to deal with that emotional drop off. You see what I'm saying? I don't have conclusions. I think about things a lot, but I don't have conclusions. That's why it's taken me so long. Yeah. Talking to you guys has really energized my day. I'm feeling like I need to get up and do something. Like I need to get something to eat, maybe get some exercise, think about something to say, and then post something other than a thank you to the channel. But with that thank you dedicated to you guys for being here, for the 6 likes, for the consistent audience, for the very good advice. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Awesome. What he says is there's so much stuff that you can do with YouTube, whether it's editing, reposting popular moments, or pretty much anything. You can always do it, but the key is consistency. You can ask for advice with Gemini or Chat GPT, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm making a story that I call The Last Sandcastle, and it's the last sandcastle in the same way that Final Fantasy is final. But yeah, I'm using ChatGPT to make sure that it makes sense to go through the project. Actually, before I did this, I sat through and I walked it through my first 2 episodes to make sure that they make sense. So yeah, I'm going to do all of the things you're saying for sure. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And everybody listening to this now, everybody in the future, he's totally right. YouTube, I do believe YouTube is in the future. I believe that if it's not YouTube, these video editing platforms are the future of the economy. So Awesome Wins is totally right. I'm just trying to figure out a way to do it consistently because of my, we would call them mental disorders, but because of my bipolar and my pathological demand avoidance, which are things that I just have no control over, but that I have to live with, it's about consistency. Yeah, it's about being able to do the same thing every time. And I don't like the idea of only posting once a week. So I'm figuring it out. Because like one of the things I like to do is listen to music and listen to new kinds of music. And so like even reaction videos would be a good idea for me to look into. It's just about execution. How do I want to execute? And while I don't know, I don't tinker. That's a failing in me. I'm not encouraging you be like me. I'm just letting you know that you're right, and there are reasons that I'm not turning this off to take your advice. I got to figure out a way to make it work for me, because I've known that I wanted to be an artist since I was, well, at least since I was 4. I know that I wanted to build things, and so I thought that being an artist meant first and foremost being idiosyncratic and having your own approach. And so I've become pathological about that in a way that other artists aren't. And I don't criticize other artists for being. If what you want is to eat and have a roof over your head and have nice clothes and for your mom and dad to be proud of you, all things that some days I care about and most days I don't, the way to go is the way that Awesome is saying. You're totally right. Totally right. And go to school. Go to school. Actually pay attention in school. I effectively dropped out of school in 4th grade. So don't do that. Don't do what I did. But maybe me being this different will make me somebody that other artists can enjoy. And in that way we can inspire people together. I can say, "Hey, see they listen to me passively and look how much better they are. Do what they're doing." That's the ideal for me. Yeah, my knees and my ankles are starting to get stiff, so I am going to have to end this soon. But thank you guys for talking to me. More importantly, thank you for listening to me. And thank you for the likes. Thank you for the company. I agree with you, Nathan. Go to trade school. Absolutely. I agree. Because even if you choose to go to university after the trade school, you have a skill. You have a skill that's always in demand. I I have trade skill learning. I grew up around CNC machining, CNC machines. I can draw in CAD. I can read blueprints, all that stuff. I have skills. I choose to apply them in a different avenue, and that doesn't make me better. It makes me worse, actually. That's why I always tell people don't do. Yeah, you can always go back to college. Yeah, my both of my grandfathers were engineers, and only my maternal grandfather had to have a degree in order to have the high-paying job that he had. Yes, you're right, awesome. And that's something that I'm figuring out how to navigate. I have CapCut on my phone, and so I actually have a couple of videos in my video section, not my shorts, that I cut myself. That I'm learning. You're right. It gets in every day. It's getting easier. It's so much easier even than I knew since this winter has passed. You're totally right. Yeah. I checked out on computer learning for 6 months, and it got where I needed it to be in that span. So yeah, you're totally right. Totally right. I don't want you to get the impression that I'm dismissing you by also saying that I'm going to approach it in a different direction. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that your method is good for you and for everybody else. Because there are websites that will edit for you automatically. A few of my early talking to myself videos on this channel, like the Brotato videos, I used free editing websites instead of software. Yeah, there's if you have a vision, if you know what you want the end product to look like, and you have the component pieces together, there are definitely resources to make your vision a reality. The place where my disconnect comes from is that I don't know what my final vision, I don't know what I want it to look like yet. Damn, my hat got wet as fuck. That's bad. Fuck. I need it to get warm and dry so I can set some of my stuff out. Or else I need to make a couple of bucks. I need to make like $5 so I can get some I might actually have to get some, like, I don't remember what it's called, Germex or something, to get rid of the mildew on my hats, because that hat is gonna mildew now that it's soaking wet. Okay, dudes and dudettes, thank you for being here. Those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the subscription. My hat being wet is stressing me out, so what I have to do now is go for a walk to not be thinking about how my hat survived the whole winter and I made one mistake, put it in the wrong spot, and it got wet. So thank you for being here. It's been really cool to get to know you guys. Yes, you're not wrong. Awesome. Thank you for the advice. I'm trying to figure out exactly how much money I want and need to make in a week, and then I can start to worry about those things. But you are right. You're totally right. And thank you for the well wishes, Nathan. I am gonna go for a walk, and I'm probably gonna get something to eat. I hope you guys have a great day. The great rest of your time. I hope everything goes well for you and stays well for you until I see you again. Thank you so much for the support. Until next time, I've been Shaggy. I am Philalitheia, and yeah, I'll be back.